God is God. Learn how to recognize this truth in this episode of 5 Minutes Closer. I'm Vaughn Weatherford, and this is 5 Minutes Closer. For the next 5 minutes, let's explore some biblical truths and apply them to your life. No podcast, including this one, can transform your life or give you what you really need. Only Jesus can do that. You can find out why in what I've called the first five episodes of 5 Minutes Closer. Each following episode explores scriptural truths that, if you follow them, will bring you 5 minutes closer to the person God created you to be. Let's see if we can get you 5 minutes closer. What we often call the 10 Commandments are not the edicts of some despotic ruler who could care less about us. This is our Father's word to us, who loves us, who created us, who wants us to be all that He created us to be. Perhaps we should listen and follow. The first 3 commandments teach an essential truth: who God is. It's vital that we recognize God for who He is. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 6 records these words: I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me, but showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. The first commandment reminds us that only God is God. The 2nd and 3rd commandments warn against what happens when we forget. The 2nd commandment warns against the mistake that unfortunately the Israelites made very quickly, trying to worship God in a false form. The golden calf didn't work out so well, and there was a good reason. Nothing in this world could possibly represent the creator of everything in this world. One of the most important aspects of worship is expressing submission to God, admitting that He alone is God. If He's something that we could manufacture or represent with a carving, we would be tempted to think that God was something we could create. That mistake leads to the 3rd command, concerning God's name. In the Old Testament world, a person's name was significant. People considered the name a part of the person who bore it. We understand this to some extent. Our English phrase describes how we seek to protect our good name. Specifically, the 3rd commandment prohibits using the name of God to swear a false oath. Literally, the phrase means to avoid using God's name for vanity or for falsehood. Misusing God's name fails to recognize the person of God. Jesus places this reminder at the very beginning of what we call the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. My mom had 2 boxes of jewelry. One she allowed me to use for play. She had a long necklace that made a perfect fort for my G.I. Joe. My mom hid the other box far from my prying hands. That box contained the real jewelry, far too precious and expensive for a 9-year-old to use in his war games. She had a good reason to keep the real stuff separate. She didn't want me to lose it. They were precious to her, not only because they were expensive, but because special people had given them to her. Some had been in the family for generations. She treated that box differently than the one with the colored glass. The first 3 commandments remind us how precious God is. We must never forget that He alone is God. We cannot treat Him like we would treat our favorite shirt, pulling Him out of the closet once in a while to wear on special occasions. God is God. He deserves our worship. He is worthy of our praise. He deserves our obedience. He deserves our everything. Remember that He alone is God, because now you're 5 minutes closer. My prayer is that these 5 minutes have challenged you, inspired you, and caused you to consider applying God's message for your life from His Word. To find out more, visit our website at 5minutescloser.com. Join me next time to see if we can get you 5 minutes closer.